Today we're going to talk about what is shutter and how fast it should be. So this is a basic concept how a DSLR works. And you can see at the right side, the red thing is the sensor. We have talked about this in the very first episode. And just in front of the sensor, you can see the shutter. The shutter is something works like a door to close the light to the sensor. It allows how much time the light is being projected to the sensor. So that's basically the concept of the shutter. And let's look at the shutter. This is a shutter from a modern DSLR, and we can see that it has this electromagnetic magnetic mechanism to the right, and the curtains in the middle. So it works like this. So for every exposure, the first curtain moves down, and there is a gap between the first curtain and the second curtain. So as the gap moves down, you can see it's more like a progressive scan on your TV. So finally, the second curtain reaches to the bottom, and it becomes the first curtain again. So the speed of the shutter really makes a difference here. That is something as a photographer you have to decide. You can make the shutter go so fast, like in a professional DSLR, it can go as fast as 8,000th of a second. So that is really shockingly fast. So you can see in this really racing car, you can see every dust that is airborne. So basically that will freeze the scene you're going to shoot. Also, you can choose your shutter to be really slow. Like the picture on the right side, you can see the Star Trek, not Star Trek. They're moving because like the Earth is rotating itself. So this will take you hours to shoot a picture like this. So the difference is like 8,000ths of a second, while hours. So that's a huge. So how to choose? So the first question you should ask yourself is, what's the focal length you're using, right? So we know there are different lens types. You have wide angle lenses, normal lenses, portrait lenses, or telephoto lenses. I just listed the most common types of lenses here. And you can see these lens groups are made by Nikon, because I'm a big Nikon fan, and probably all of them are the ultimate gear equipment groups for any Nikon head. So for the wide angle lens, normally it's defined as the focal length is smaller than 35mm, while a normal lens, here you see the 2470 zoom lens with aperture of 2.8. A normal lens range is about 35 to 70mm, while a portrait lens is about 70 to 105mm, and you can see this very nice Nikon 85mm 1.4G, this prime lens here. That's super cool lens. And also for telephoto shooting, it's normally about 105mm, and you can see the 200mm 2.8 VR2 lens here. It's one of the ultimate gears any Nikon head can get. And you have to remember that all these millimeters I listed here are for 35mm cameras only. So if you're using a DX format, so that's an APS-C format. So you need to divide the numbers by your crop ratio. So for example, like Nikon users, you divide by 1.5, and for Canon users, you divide by 1.6. So the answer is, if you're using X millimeter focal length, then set your shutter speed faster than X out of 1 second. That's like a general rule. So for example, if you're using this 85 1.4 prime lens to shoot a portrait, right? So what should be your shutter speed, so it should be less than 85 out of 1 second, right? But normally you don't have this setting on your camera, so you can choose 80 out of 1 or 100 out of 1 second. Another question you should ask yourself is, does your camera have image stabilization function? So image stabilization is something really cool. For Nikon, it's called vibration reduction. So normally we call that VR lenses. And once you see this VR label on your lens, that means you have this thing. You have the function already built in your lens. And for Canon users, you will see the image stabilizer lenses. So you will see this label, the image stabilizer, printed on your lens. And for both Nikon and Canon, they put this function, the units in their lens. So their body doesn't have this function. On the contrary, Sony and some other camera manufacturers, they put the stabilization system in their camera body. So they have this sensor shift image stabilizing system on all of their camera bodies. So basically the sensor can move to compensate the shaking of your hand. So if you have the image stabilization, so you feel confident to reduce your shutter speed by 4 to 8 times. So I'm giving you an example here. If you're using this 770 200mm 2.8G VR2 made by Nikon, and you're shooting at, let's say, 200mm range, and you can feel free to choose 25 out of 1 second, because this VR2 is so powerful, it can reduce your hand shaking so much. So I've chosen 8 times slower than it normally requires to be. So this is pretty impressive. And the final question is to set your shutter speed is to ask yourself, how fast is your subject moving? So probably you will have your subject as fast as a cheetah, or sometimes your subject is as slow as a turtle. So for different situations, you need to use different shutter speed. For faster moving object, you need to use faster shutter speed. That's more like common sense, right? But also something you need to remember, some people say, I have image stabilization, will it help? Well, actually it doesn't matter, because your object is moving rather than your hand. So whether your hand is moving or not, your object is moving so fast. So you have to make sure you capture a still moment of that. So the shutter speed has to be fast enough. So let me give you another example. We're still using this 7020 2.8G VR2 as an example. So if you are using this lens to shoot Formula 1 cars like they're racing, right? So you have to choose your shutter speed to be less than 1,000 of 1 second, no matter what kind of focal length you're using, 70 or 200, because the cars are moving that fast, right? And also the VR reduction, whether it's on or not, because at that speed it's already out of your concern. So let's sum up. So in short, I have created this flowchart to help you decide how fast your shutter speed should be. So first you start from the top and you go to the bottom. Let's say you start from the top and you decide whether the subject is moving or not. If it's not, and you see what is the focal length you're using, and use this. You remember that and see whether you have image stabilization or not. If you have it, it's X out of 4 seconds to X out of 8 seconds. If you don't have image stabilization, that's X out of 1 second. And if your subject is moving, I have listed common shooting subjects like human in sports, flying birds, or racing cars. And I have my own experience of how fast the shutter speed should be. So feel free to spread the words, and if you like my channel, please subscribe, and thank you very much. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.